Hey guys, this is Matthew, and welcome back to Nerd News Today. It's time for another Warhammer 40K action figure review. Today we've got the third figure in the series, and the first one to not be an Ultramarine. This time around, we're taking a look at the Necron Warrior. But before we get started with this review, there's actually one note I have about what we looked at previously, and that was the unpainted artist proof edition of the Ultramarine, that my Ultramarine's bolt rifle was actually missing its scope. For whatever reason, it didn't occur to me that it was. I don't know why, because it's actually on the packaging. Somehow it didn't occur to me that this figure was missing the scope, despite it actually being on the packaging. I just thought maybe it was a variant or a chase, and it never really came to my mind for whatever reason. But thankfully, you eagle-eyed viewers out there did catch it, and so I contacted McFarlane customer support to see what they could do about it. So surprisingly, they got back to me actually super fast, but unfortunately they said they didn't actually have spare parts, which to me was a pretty big surprise. How could this toy that just came out this recently not have any spare parts for the manufacturer? Well, I did ask them about that, and they said they normally don't do that. So at first they thought they didn't have any spare parts, and they did actually offer to send me a figure, which I declined, but they got back to me a little bit later on and said they did actually have a few spare pieces. So hopefully I'll be getting myself a new bolt rifle at some point, and when that happens, I'll let you guys know. But I do want to give a shout out to McFarlane Toys customer support. I was very impressed with the speed of their reply and how hard they were trying to actually make sure I got a replacement of some kind for this toy. Now let's talk about this Necron Warrior here. And I don't want to spend too much time discussing the packaging because, well, we've already seen it twice before and there's absolutely nothing new about the box. We've got a very large window display in the front that lets us see his weapons and the figure, of course. On one side, we've got a photo of the Necron Warrior. Opposite side, we have some of that H.R. Geiger artwork. And the back of the box just has, again, another large photo of the Necron Warrior and a photo of the Ultramarines Primaris Assault Intercessor. And the box is in a similar scale to Marvel Legends figures from Hasbro and other 6-inch toys, despite this being a little bit bigger than 6 inches. So it's a nice package. It's really cool if you want to keep it in a box. But as for me, I'm not a mint on card collector. So let's go ahead and bust this Necron Warrior loose and see how he is in action. And here is our Necron Warrior now, all out of the packaging. This thing is really cool up close and personal because it reminds me a lot of like an endoskeleton from the Terminator films, but of course it's got that Warhammer spin on it. So first things first, does this look like a Necron Warrior from a Games Workshop miniature? Well, I'd say yes. I mean, I think that's the one thing McFarlane has done well with this entire line so far is everybody looks the way they should look, just upscaled in an action figure form. And I think the Necron Warrior in particular really kind of lends itself to that look because, you know, it is very toyetic. I think the Ultramarines are pretty toyetic to begin with, but a character like the Necron Warrior, very much the same. It's the kind of thing that definitely translates very nicely to a larger size. I think the coloring is really cool as well. I think the coloring is pretty accurate. It definitely looks like it's robotic and mechanical, but it's all rusted out, beat up. It's, of course, in the middle of war, so yeah, it's definitely seen some better days, and that very much comes off in the way this thing looks from all angles. I mean, there's some really great battle damage, I guess I can call it texture, on his shoulder pads here, on his back muscles, as well as on the back of his legs. You can see it all across the model, but he had just lots of little chips taken out of his armor plates in the back here. His head is a little dinged up too. He looks like he's just been in war, and that's really cool. I think they did a great job capturing just how ravaged these machines are. And it also looks very menacing too. I think the face in particular, it's got a great scowl on it. Not like these things have a lot of facial expressions to begin with, of course, but I think the expression they gave it looks really nice, and the way the eyes pop on it too, really, really cool looking. I love that pop of color that we get from those bright green eyes. So yeah, when it comes to McFarlane toys, I don't need to really talk much about likeness because they usually always nail it. It's very rare that they don't, or in some cases, if it comes down to like an actor's likeness, it might be like an 8 or 9 out of 10. And not a perfect 10, still not terrible by any means. And this very much here in this world of imaginary Warhammer 40K things, nothing to worry about here, no concerns whatsoever. They got this down. And similarly too with the colors and the paint, I don't think they could have done a better job really any other way. I mean, these look really good. I love how this thing looks here. So let's talk about articulation, because that's always one of the things that we hear from people who don't really know much about McFarlane toys today is, oh, what about the articulation? It's probably terrible. Well, not anymore. Today, most McFarlane toys have a pretty high amount of articulation. In fact, one of the Ultramarines we looked at boasted 22 points of articulation. Arguably, they did hit that, but, you know, with a few bumps along the road. This time around, because of the shape of the Necron Warrior, I think we're going to have better articulation, but let's find out. So let's start first. Head is ball jointed. Yeah, it can go up and down, left and right. Shoulders have a really nice ball joint, and it's almost like a butterfly joint, which means he can get his arms closer together. You can see how it works there, right there. Pretty good range of motion. The shoulder thing does get in the way a little bit, but not much. The elbows, similarly, are, you know, I'll talk about like double joints and triple joints. This time around, there's just nothing in the way. This is just one big joint, and that means you've got a great wide range of motion. The wrists, do turn. They're actually also ball jointed, so you can, looks like, yeah, you can pivot them too. The torso can bob left and right, and the waist also moves around. So that's kind of better than all the other Warhammer figures I looked at so far, to be honest. The legs, let's see, well, that's where things get a little bit different. So they are ball jointed, but it's a different type of joint. But yeah, I mean, you can still get them in some really great poses there. You could have a Necron warrior do almost a full split if you wanted. The knees are also very, very nicely articulated, and ankles too. So yeah, I'd say out of all the Warhammer figures we've looked at so far, this is probably the best when it comes to articulation. And that's because, of course, he is just so much thinner and has a lot less things in the way to actually hinder any of that movement. Our Necron warrior comes with 3 accessories here. And the first one I'm going to point out, but I'm going to bother putting it on because it is a base. And these Warhammer figures are super solid. They don't really need a base. You can see this whole time he's been standing up on his own, even after moving him around. So you do have a base. The feet do have peg holes in them, but you're not going to really need this, which I love. So goodbye. But I love that they put it in there. So thanks for doing that, McFarlane. This Necron warrior includes his gauze flayer. This thing looks so cool. And I want to see if we can actually get it into his hands, because that was something I did have a problem with the previous figures, putting weapons in their hands. I usually have to pull these things off camera to do it. I tell you right now, this hand is definitely softer than the other figures, but I am worried about bending his thumb back so much to get this gun in there. I think we've almost got it though. There we go. All right, that is in there. And let's see if we can get him to actually hold the piece as well with the other hand. And I think, yes. All right, we got it in there. So this is how it looks once the gun is in there. Let's see if this affects his balance at all. Let's see if we can get him to stand up straight again. Counterbalance it. This gun is definitely pretty big and really heavy, so I am curious to see if he is going to need that base now. He just might. So let's go ahead and put it on him just to play it safe. And that's it. Just slide it onto the peg, and boom, there we go. And that's how he looks. That's our Necron warrior with his gauze flare, and that's looking pretty good, and he can hold it. It was actually a little bit easier, I feel like, than the Ultramarines were to get their guns in their hands, because all the hands are kind of like extra tight. Like, you know, I'll say this Necron warrior, as I now struggle to get him up because that gun is so big. You know, I'll say the one thing about the other Ultramarines, there we go, is that their hands were like really firm. I had to really fight to get the weapons in there. This time around, the trigger finger went on very, very easily. It's just the hand that's going on, you can see there on the barrel of the gun. That gave me some problems, but eventually I got it in, as you can see, and it looks really great. He can hold it with both hands. That looks super awesome. In addition to the base, in addition to the gauze flare, he comes with a single Canoptech Scarab. This is really cute. It's one piece. This is not articulated, but again, really bright green color, matches everything up here. I think what would have been cool is if they had maybe like a little peg hole up here though, and maybe they had a separate base for him so he can kind of jump in the air a little bit. Because a lot of times you'll see them either crawling on the ground or they'll be slightly elevated. So it would have been cool to have it either way like that, but I do appreciate that they included that in there. It's a nice little bonus. And maybe other versions of the Necrons will have different versions of the Scarabs also, including some that are actually jumping in a little invisible base to do that. So this looks really great, so let's compare him now side by side with some of the other Warhammer 40K figures. And we've reviewed all of these on the channel so far. So if you want to watch reviews of any of those, just go ahead, take a look at our archives, and you'll find links to everything there. So here he is with the Primaris Assault Intercessor, and I'm going to bring in the Artist Proof as well, if we can find space for him. I guess I'll have to hold him off to the side like this, maybe. I'll have to just hold him off to the side like this, I think. But, you know, we already got the Intercessor there. I don't really think we need to have the unpainted one, so I'll just get him off. So this is how our Necron warrior sizes up side by side. I'll put that Scarab right back between them. This is how they look together, so you can see a little bit of the size difference between the two of them, how they look with all their weapons together. And, you know, now seeing them again side by side, this is the first non-Marine we've gotten in the line, and it looks really good together. It really makes me want to buy a lot more Necron warriors to build out an army. And that's the cool thing about these toys, is that they're all pretty affordable also. McFarlane is selling these for like $20 a piece right now. And keep in mind, Bandai's also doing their Warhammer figures, but those are $100 a pop. That's a pretty big price difference. So you could almost buy, if after, let's say, taxes, shipping, and handling, you could still probably get 3 to 4 of these, depending on where you live, for the price of one Bandai figure, and maybe even 5 if you get a really great deal. So realistically, you can get maybe 5 figures from McFarlane for the price of one Bandai toy. That's an amazing savings. So you could spend $100 and get 5 Necron warriors and build out an army. You could do the same with the Ultramarines too, but that's a story for another day. But point being, yeah, price point is amazing for what these guys are. It's perfect. Cannot get over how cheap these things are, how affordable they are. I don't want to say cheap, because cheap implies they're not nicely made. These are very affordable and really excellent figures. Now, something I'd said in the Ultramarine review previously was that I wanted a weapons pack and maybe some swappable heads. I feel like the Necrons, maybe not as much. I don't really know as much about the Necrons and what they do, but I'm okay with them just doing what they're doing here right now. Maybe just coming with more different weapons would be cool, of course. But again, I'm thinking about that $20 price point, and that's not too bad. But on that note, I wouldn't be opposed to spending $5 or $10 more if it had another accessory or two in there. And I think all of you will agree with me out there on that subject as well. And also worth noting, a unpainted artist-proof Necron warrior was also announced fairly recently. I don't know if he's available yet, but that's something to keep an eye on. So you can paint your own Necron warriors. I'm not going to be painting my artist-proof version of the Ultramarine anytime soon, I don't think. I know there are some folks out there who are doing it, so if you're one of those folks that actually has painted or is planning on painting your Warhammer 40K action figure, let us know in the comments. But as for my money, end of the day, Necron Warrior, another solid, amazing entry in this Warhammer 40K line. I'm so excited for this line, and I want to just let you guys also know that in between when I was filming the last reviews and this one, I mentioned, I believe, that the Sisters of Battle were coming out, and so since then we've also had another announcement that we're going to get a Hellblaster Ultramarine coming out too, which is really cool. There's going to be an artist proof of him as well. So the line is in fact expanding. It's expanding though very slow, but it is growing, and that's great news. So I'm hoping that we get to see a lot more different Marines and a lot more other factions from the Warhammer 40K world, because it's such a big world. McFarlane, you guys got to speed it up because we got a lot of groups to get through here. But yeah, on that note, these are amazing figures. Once again, I love these. Can't wait for more. So if you guys want to buy any of these figures here that you're seeing today and any of the Warhammer 40K action figures, why not use our Amazon affiliate links, which you can find in the description for this video. It helps out this YouTube channel and costs you nothing extra when you buy those figures using our affiliate links. And of course, if you like these Warhammer videos and want to see more of them, please make sure to give this video a thumbs up. And if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. So until next time, I'm Matthew. This has been Nerd News Today. We'll see you guys next time with some more action figure reviews and everything else we do here on the channel.